speak moron as well as you, but let me try.
What the hell is supposed to do, you moron?
It's a moron. That's not against the law.
Gun! You fucking moron!
Stuff like Batman.
Because he is Batman, you moron.
What are you, a fucking moron? Huh?
You moron. Drop dead. Moron.
Whoa!
Up here, you morons.
Stepping morons like yourself.
Me down, you moron! Hey, moron!
But only the four of us, though. It's always a wee bit sad when Shawnee Boy's not here.
Yeah.
Don't have to say rant.
How dare he go and have a social life?
I mean, how social is it going to be with Sean? There's going to be barely 2 words spoke between him and Laurie the whole night.
I think it'll be really romantic.
That's it. Kevin Bridges screams romance, doesn't he?
I can
just
imagine a couple of years. I can imagine a couple of years Laurie saying, "Oh, remember that's 2 years ago we went to Kevin Bridges. That was a nice romantic night." And all that Sean's thinking about are those special pint mugs with the handles. Like, that's getting his dick hard.
I was just saying, I can just imagine Sean going up and getting 2 pints for himself and leaving off in a lorry one to come back with one. That's how romantic Sean will be, just send her up to get her own drink, not even buying her one.
He wouldn't even offer to help her or anything. Like if she was to drop something or lean over or not be able to get something, he'd just stand there and look at her. He'd probably spit on the floor beside her. Hi Sean, I hope you. We know you don't listen anyway. You just take part and you don't listen, so we can slander you as much as we want. And Laurie listens even less than you are. But we do have your reviews though, so thank you very much for texting them across. Although I'm not sure if you've actually watched these movies based on the stuff that I've read through your reviews, so we will see. I'm going to put my hat there as therefore Sean's patch these movies. The movies that we are here to talk about today, though, however, depending on where you look for the title, it'll either be Ford versus Ferrari or Le Mans 66. But we've got that coming alongside Happy Gilmore. I believe that was Sports Week, I'm going to assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We've got that many weeks on the go at the moment, guys. I've got absolutely no idea what ones are what. But let's start off with Le Mans 66 first. So an American car designer, Carroll Shelby, and driver Ken Mills battle corporate interference and the laws of physics to build a revolutionary race car for Ford in order to defeat Ferrari at the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 66. We'll just bypass me butchering that word. Burnsy, you are our resident sports expert, and I'm going to assume that you hadn't watched one of these movies before. I believe you're a big Happy Gilmore fan, or Billy Loves Football, as we say. So you take us away first of all with your Le Mans 66 thoughts.
Aye, well, you got a bit of an insight because I told you that when we were down in Cardiff at the weekend for the wrestling.
You spoke an awful lot in Cardiff, Burnsy, and most of it was asking me what outfit looked good on you and what shirt went. What blue t-shirt or light blue t-shirt or navy blue t-shirt went with your tan, brown or beige shorts? That was the extent of your conversation for a whole weekend.
I was out to impress those 60,000 wrestling geeks.
Like my main memory from it is when will we go to the pub? What pub will we go to? What time? Will we leave now? If we leave in 25 minutes, we'll get there in 35 minutes. So that'll give us an hour and 45 minutes to get from there to... Is that enough? Aye, it'll be sound.
or maybe try to organise a taxi and the guy said, I'll just get an Uber, and then Burnsy fucking went in a meltdown.
I didn't know, that's lies.
You
Used to the two worst people that go on holiday. Well, good in a way, but you're just far too laid back. I don't understand. I can't remember what was that. On the morning of it, Daniel was like, "Oh, have I got on boarding pass?" Didn't even actually have a clue what he was doing the film. He was just surprised for everything that we did, I think.
Well, I don't think it's helped the fact that we were texting in a little group chat in the morning. For you that are listening, Burnsy does like to be very organised and gets very, very stressed out. And about 2 hours to 2 or 3 hours before we were actually flying, I message in and say, I've not even booked the parking yet, so I'll just have to find something later. And Daniel messaged in and said, I've not even got a bag to put my clothes in.
Meanwhile, I had everything packed by about 9:30 in the morning, probably.
On the Wednesday.
I was going to say, definitely before then. I actually did a wee charity shop, went to a wee charity shop and found a backpack for £4.50. Nice and easy.
Bargain, absolute bargain. But Burnsy, we're interrupting your story here about Le Mans 66. You're going to tell us all about the characters. I'm looking forward to
it. No, not particularly this time for a change. So I'd say it wasn't something I'd watched before, and I think from memory of what the votes were against, I don't think I voted for this in the final. I can't remember what it was. I just kind of think it wouldn't probably be of much interest for me. I did find the start of the film quite interesting with the interactions with them Ford trying to buy Ferrari and things like that. I thought it seemed quite believable to me in terms of the way it had been set up and the settings, etc. And also I thought the person who was the guy's name that was like the Ford guy's right-hand man and he came across as like the asshole throughout the film. Was that
Leo Beebe?
That's what I thought. Sorry, the actor's name was John somebody. But Lee in the film. I thought he was quite good. He just seemed to have that really annoying face that you probably wanted to punch if you were Matt Damon throughout it. That's what I thought anyway. That you could just see he probably just wanted to smash his face in because he just kept on coming up with these ridiculous ideas. He didn't have any idea about motor racing, I didn't think whatsoever. So one of the questions I was going to ask you is when the guy Ken gets given the drive by Ford, right? I know this is meant to be based on a true story for what I understand. He was just this mechanic, and then he's going to start racing Le Mans. Is that meant to be true, or do you know? I don't know if any of you know, but I'll carry on. On you go, Daniel.
He's definitely a race car driver already. He's they mentioned that he's a journeyman race driver, so he's raced like for years and years, but he's sort of like towards the end, so he's got a garage, he's a mechanic now, essentially.
Right. I just find it was a bit random, you know what I mean? It's like someone it's like a Formula One driver, because obviously that's what I watch, and then to me, like Ford's obviously this big brand. I know it's like obviously they've come into Le Mans quite late, but it's like this boy that's been out for Formula One for years and years, and then gets a call up to this company who's wanting to win the world championship, and they've got all the money behind them to do that. It just seemed a bit. Maybe it's completely true.
He had competed in F1 a couple of years before that.
I don't know.
So yeah, he did have a
name. He's a big name, like.
I just wondered. I hadn't obviously heard them before, but I thought like the build up to the Le Mans was quite interesting in terms of design and discussions about the car, and how obviously you had like Shelby and Ken sort of going back and forth as to how to make the car and them trying to get to that stage of Le Mans. But I just thought the actual Le Mans stuff itself was just quite boring. I don't know what it was about the race, and maybe it was just because there was a bit already in it, or whether, and even when there was like the swerve where who was winning it and all those discussions, I was just kind of like, it was just a bit meh for me. I know it's obviously based on the true story. I don't know what they could have done to make it better, whether it would have been, it just seemed a bit samey, like because obviously you'd seen him in the car before, trying to get to that stage. Maybe if there was a bit more background with maybe his family, or maybe even more of the build up to the race and how they got to that stage. So it kind of just fell a wee bit flat for me. But I did kind of think from sort of reading a brief synopsis of it when it was on the vote, I didn't think I was going to go in and love it. So I think it's just kind of a bit average, really is probably the best word for me to use to say about how I feel about the films.
Average on a sports film for you, Burns, especially if it's about driving. You're into all that F1 pish.
I know.
Interesting. I thought Christian Bale was brilliant in this. I thought he was absolutely excellent. He was both really, really interesting and quirky, but annoying as fuck at the same time. Don't know
No,
if
he
anybody else.
No, he was good. I think this was picked, you knew that it was just going to be Matt Damon and Christian Bale would be the best bit about the film, rather than the actual film. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that probably leans into why I really enjoyed it, because I was pleasantly surprised watching this, because I thought it would just be like a really boring wank fest about driving cars, but I don't feel like it was like that. I was really interested in the politics that go on in the background about how the company runs actually what's going on, and they're just essentially pawns that drive cars the way that they're told to drive them. And that knowing nothing about that, and that being the ending of what happens when they cross over the finish line, just to screw over Ken Miles at the very last second. I thought it was really well done. It was really well done. I'm shocked that I didn't know that this happened, if that makes sense, even though I'm not really into the racing side of things, but I feel like I should know that.
Mm-hmm.
Did you just know about it beforehand?
Nope.
No.
For this one, or that they've done it in general, because you all know about like sort of team orders in F1, like somebody's like a fodder driver that'll maybe go and get good places up, and then the main driver coming and win races.
Just when you were saying about that is, but I just remember one which you are probably like sharp. I remember years ago, like I think it was Schumacher was going for the title, and then somebody was winning by like 25 seconds as number 2 driver, and they made him like slow down so that he overtook him on the line, and the crowd were going, because I think it was only the 5th or 6th race of the season. I might be wrong, but it wasn't as if it was like right towards the end. It's quite near the start. And then they then tried to do like a photo finish one, basically exact same what they did. But I think they were trying to like get them so they would actually cross at identical times, exactly what this film was. And then they failed again. I think like Schumacher won by like say, I'm like 1,000th of a second or something, instead of, I don't know what even would happen. Obviously, you cross line exactly the same time. But I remember them getting loads of abuse for it for that reason.
It's just go and win the race, eh? Like just win the race, let the drivers drive and do what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite a shame the way that it's done though, because obviously Matt Damon's that torn character that has to toe the company line to an extent, although he knows that it's not right and he hates it, but he has to go in and say the word anyway. And I guarantee you that's a major issue in F1, especially when you've got cunts like Lewis Hamilton, who's the biggest tosser in sport.
I can't disagree with that, Kyle. Oh, also, it's like, I know we're talking about Formula 1 now, but it's like we were in the pub in Cardiff, Bristol last weekend after being at the wrestling, and used to obviously when they watching the Formula 1, but then and the sign was on, and then he was complaining after it about how his team had done this, his team had done that, and it didn't let him win the race. He's just it's always someone else's fault other than his own. I just don't like people who just can't take any responsibility.
Oh, bless. Well, Hunter, what did you think of this?
Kind of similar to what you thought, and also what Bumsy said. I kind of was very impressed with sort of Bale and Damon in their roles, and then is it John Bernthal as well, the guy from Punisher, and again he's popped up quite recently, I know, a couple of times for us. Again, I thought for me it was a well acted film. It's just the subject matter did not grab my attention at all, and I think that's what lets it down. And I think when I sort of read up some of my trivia or whatever, it's a film that I think was over 10 years in the making, and you've maybe needed that sort of big name characters to maybe get a bit of hype to get people to buy into it to go watch it, because I think, as we've touched on, it's not really 24. We've obviously when we sort of rinse Bumsy for F1, and that's like a 2 hours, an hour and a half, 2 hours. 24 hours a car's going round in a circle, man. It sounds like hell on earth.
Just imagine listening to it on the radio to like his family was like the fucking radio.
I know.
Imagine if you were just like bought tickets for that. Like, do you just sit there for 24 hours and watch cars go round and round and round? Like, even I can do that. Sounds horrendous.
It
You
does sound
buy like your ticket in a slot, like you get what you can buy the first 8 hours, the second 8 hours, or the last 8 hours.
Then as well, you're going to miss all the important. Like, you could end up going for 2 hours or nothing, and then somebody else behind you gets all the action. It'd be like going to a football game and seeing the first 10 minutes finishes nothing each. then the next person sees 3 goals and a sending off.
That sounds
As
absolutely.
far, I was going to say, as far as racing goes, what exciting thing can happen until then? They're just going down in circles until the end, and then
Well,
someone goes
overtaken.
for the last time. It's like, oh, you went down the circle the fastest the last time. Well done.
It's actually wild because you're just hoping for a crash to give it any kind of excitement. Because this is what I don't get with racing in general is it is literally just like who wins. We'll start the race off, hope there's a couple of crashes, and I'll see you in an hour and a half to see who wins. Nothing else. Give me the highlight reel at the end, please. That'll do. So you get weirdos out in the world there that actually enjoy and go to watch us. But I'm just going to jump in, which is probably stealing some of your trivia at some points, because this was nominated for an Oscar.
Yes, that's correct.
I'm going to steal your thunder here. So it was nominated for Best Motion Picture of the Year. Do we know what the winner was that year, guys?
No.
What year was this? 2017 or something?
18, I think.
2020 awards. Good research on the trivia there, Hunter.
2 years ago.
Parasite, was it?
Yes.
Correct. Parasite. So the actual list of movies we've watched a fair whack of them. Parasite's on there. Also nominated was 1917, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Marriage Story, one that we'll know that watch at some point, the Irishman. Please no. Please never ever let us watch that movie.
That's fine.
Before we jump on to give Daniel's thoughts, I just want to jump in with Sean's at the moment. Sean's put not into cars or that, so never had much interest in this. He's a poet, our boy. Although, before we go into the rest of it, he did message me and say, I'm raging as I typed up all of my reviews and then I closed my WhatsApp and lost a lot. He's not the brightest. So, not into cars or that, so never had much interest in this. It was okay. With it being based on real life events that actually happened, it's like Hunter explaining true stories. It's hard to deviate. Well done, Sean. But the Le Mans. Laurie's typed this for him. The Le Mans race was underwhelming once the Ferrari engine blew, especially after all the build up to it. Also, him dying at the end felt pretty rushed as well. I didn't look up how accurate the film stays, as to be honest, I don't give a fuck. He's a man with. He's got a way with words, this boy. With words. Daniel, mere thoughts for yourself.
I'll just pick up on one of the things Sean said about the death. Much like you guys, I did no research about this before, so I didn't know anything that happened. But they kept making there was a lot of foreshadowing towards him dying in a blaze in the car. Like, so early on, he got in a fire, and his son was asking about it, and basically said as long as he can open the door, he's fine. And then during the actual race, at the start, his door won't close, and then they hammer the door shut. Right? All that to me was leading up to him being trapped in the car and dying. So, like, that didn't happen. I was like, what the fuck was the point in any of that? I'd be interested to know if in real life his car door wouldn't close for the first lap. So if that's true, then fair enough. If not, fuck me, that was a waste of time. Because he spent a lot of time building up towards that.
I've got it here. It says, so when his car suddenly looped, flipped, crashed and caught fire, the car broke into pieces and ejected Miles, killing him instantly.
I saw the door pish was just like, come on, man. Like, that was a purposeful thing to get you invested in something, right? To lead you to think that the only way he died is because he couldn't get out of the car because of the door. Anyway, that's just a little thing that was annoying me. Apart from that, much like you guys, the subject matter does nothing for me at all. Cars in general, people racing cars, like I don't get it. But I did find the characters interesting. So like Christian Bale and Matt Damon, as been mentioned, were both great. I thought they were brilliant. I thought the guy that played like the little smarmy like vice president guy, he's got mentioned before. What was his name? BB or something? Baby, Bobo, Baby.
Yeah, Leo BB.
BB. I I thought he was really good in his part. I thought John Bernthal was good in his part. I think everyone played their parts really well. It's just that the story's not interesting to me. That's the big thing to me. I couldn't give a fuck if some rich guy that owns Ford wanted to save face by beating some rich guy that owns Ferrari. And they sort of tried to make it into a relatable story, but ultimately, who cares? And I couldn't give a fuck. Ferrari and Ford are both still here, both racing and both winning races sometimes. Like, I think they were acting like this changed everything. Like, Ferrari were going to go out of business or Ford were going to go out of business. But they both just carried on and nothing major happened. So I see by the 106th time I'd see somebody frantically change a gear or push a pedal, or I saw that RPM go above 7,000. Like, fuck, like, who cares, man? Like, I found it difficult to engage in it unless Christian Bale or Matt Damon were talking. And unfortunately, too much of this film was other stuff, and it wasn't them talking. I'm surprised nobody mentioned it, but the wee boy that plays his son, I thought was really good. Especially in like the little scene at the end, I thought he was a great wee actor, and his wife. The whole cast were great. It's just a shame that it's about something really boring that's hard to be interested in. And I don't know. I'm very torn on it because I enjoyed loads of parts of it, probably more than I expected, but ultimately not that much.
There's a couple of bits in the film that just made me laugh with how ridiculous they were. Obviously, with it being a movie, you'd expect stuff like this to be in it, but when it's based on a true story, you wonder how accurate these things are, because when he's going round in these circles really, really fast, like it's fucking the old Destruction Derby game, and he goes out with a big sign to tell him to rev it up and go faster and go for it, but somebody had been out with a sign earlier on telling him to go a bit slower, but Matt Damon hadn't noticed this, and it's like, you're in charge of the whole team, how do you not realise that like this is what's going on?
It was a bit shambles.
Oh well, we're blasting through our thoughts on this. This is what happens when we're a man down for a week, guys. But Hunter, let's get on and get some trivia.
Yes, I will get that loaded up for you just now.
This is it. Hunter does prep this all week, and then he gets to the day of actually doing it and just looks at it from top to bottom.
I didn't just rush this in the half hour before we became live, so.
And also, as well, nobody mentioned, which I thought would have been the first thing that popped up, is how long the movie was.
How long was that?
It was 2.5 hours.
What was that? I thought it was only about 2. I didn't even realise. I think maybe it's because I'd watched it a few days ago, so that kind of stuff goes out of my mind once I've had a few days to think about it.
You could easily strum half an hour off driving with a track off that, and it would make it a much more enjoyable film.
I think when we said, we talked about before, is how when I mentioned how they had the bit where they qualified for Le Mans and they showed you a lot of the driving there, like you say, Hunter, it's like you could have easily made that really short and then just concentrated the driving on the Le Mans part, which I think would have then made me appreciate the driving more instead of just being driving and another driving. Whereas to me they looked identical. I didn't really spot any differences between both the parts.
Yeah, that's a good point. It doesn't do enough to tell me who's driving well and who's not when you're seeing like inside the car. Like there was nothing that really distinguished between. It's 1-0 to who, Hunter?
It was Man United, but it's been ruled out.
Get up, yeah.
I actually forgot we were playing, to be honest. I know we spoke about that, but I'm like, I've got something else on the telly instead of watching that. I
would have forgotten as well. Like I don't associate Thursday nights with football, to be honest. So
no, we've got big teams lying on like these two roasters.
It's a Manchester United fan. Thursday nights are Europa nights.
Even if Sean was here, you're actually going to get wound up by a Celtic fan this season about what football you've got to watch. That must be so destroying for you too.
I'm going to move you swiftly on from there, but before we come to Hunter's trivia, I just want to. I had a little look. There's a little section with goofs where I've got some factual errors in them, so which makes me chuckle because obviously it's a true story. This. In real life, Enzo Ferrari was not in attendance at the 1966 24 Hours of Le Mans.
They even made a point of Enzo Ferrari making fun of the fact that Henry Ford Jr. left.
I know.
What else? It says here, in real life, Enzo Ferrari sold 50% of his company to Fiat in 1969, not 1963, after declining Ford's motor company. So just 6 years of difference, that's all, just to make it fit into a better storyline for them. I've not prepped this, so I don't know what else is. I'll keep looking at it as Hunter gives his trivia.
Right, I'll jump in now then. So, firstly, the earliest version of this movie had Michael Mann as director, and it had Brad Pitt attached to star, along with Tom Cruise in the lead roles, with the working title of Go Like Hell.
Oh, that's bad.
I know. Matt Damon said that the number one reason he wanted to do the movie was so he could work with Christian Bale. According to his Instagram, Josh Brolin had some scenes or a cameo in this movie, but they never made the cut. It was also the last film to win the Academy Award for Best Sound Editing before the award was combined with Best Sound Mixing, which to me just sounds like the exact same award anyway.
There's an angry sound mixer somewhere.
Oh, I know. So there was actually one unfactually correct fact that I have here. So it says that although both Christian Bale and Matt Damon are playing their own nationalities, they are still using different accents of their own. And they've got Bale, who is Welsh, has had to adopt a Birmingham accent. The last time I checked, Birmingham wasn't in Wales.
God knows.
And then Damon, who hails from Boston, needed to perfect a Texas drawl, as they say.
Right.
And the director, James Mangold, had become interested in making the movie as far back as 2010. And would keep checking in with Fox to see if they would make it. And it wasn't until after he made Logan that they brought it to the table for him to direct.
Well, I mean, has he done anything since? This guy? No, he's just waiting again for someone he likes to come up. He sounds like a bit of a wanker.
Yeah.
Can I make the film yet? Can I make the film yet? Try again next year, you'll
Use a bit of imagination, pal, eh?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I've not looked through any trivia, any of the goofs that have popped up as that exciting. The only one I thought would be interesting for us, but nobody listening, was that the Aston Villa shirt that the little boy was wearing, replicas were not invented at that point until the 70s. So how on earth has he got his hands on one that fits him?
Oh, there you go.
Must be a fake.
Fake replicas before replicas were a thing.
I know.
Exactly.
Well, let's get on to the scoring. We'll start it off with Sean's result. He's given a movie that he does not give a fuck about a 2.5, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
I'll go with 2.75.
2.75. I'm going to jump up and give it a 3. As much as I've moaned a little bit about it, I did actually enjoy it. Hunter?
Also a 3 for me.
And Daniel?
Slightly below you two, and in line with Burnsy, a 2.75.
2.75. Sean, even when he's not here, can I get away for giving it the lowest scores? And hence why he gets so much hate online from our followers. So, Burnsy, what does that do to the overall scoring of the movie?
That's a 2.8.
2.8. Any predictions on what that puts it nearby on the leaderboard? Let's see how well we remember the movies, guys.
2.8. 2.8. No, it's going to be lower than 60, I would think.
Go on, have a guess at the actual movie. There's one movie that it joins. If you get it right, you get to pick the movies next time.
Okay. Gangs of New York.
Gangs of New York for Daniel. Hunter?
So I know we've done like 100 films, but I struggle to think of one when it comes
to.
We done Gangs of New York, did we?
Hocus Pocus.
Good shout.
What was that Disney film that we watched when I was on holiday? Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, Hunter's by far the closest. But Beauty and the Beast coming at a 2.65, but it's actually joint 88 with Into the Wild.
Oh.
I can't even remember that film at all.
I liked it. You hated it, essentially.
Right.
Just slightly below Bridesmaids and just slightly in front of Incest, Back to the Future. We've watched some shit, guys. Cool. Before we do head on to the next movie, which will be Happy Gilmore, I seen, Daniel, you'd popped up on Instagram just asking for some questions for us to talk about. If you had any subjects that you could think of.
Yeah, so I'm torn as to whether we've had this before or not, but movies that make you cry the most. Have we had that already?
I feel like we may have. It always comes back to me for this one movie that always makes me cry, and I talked a little bit of reasons why when we did the episode on it. But Warrior with Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton always makes me cry.
I've got loads of films make me cry, like The Land Before Time, Fox and the Hound. Has anyone ever seen a movie called Barney's Version?
No.
No.
I couldn't imagine you've seen it, but it's got Paul Giamatti in it, and part of the story is the guy gets Alzheimer's, and like he just starts forgetting stuff. And it just made me cry because he was just like forgetting, and he was like sad and didn't remember where he was and stuff. Stuff like that gets to me when you see like loneliness and like folk being stuck on their own, going through hard times. That always hits me.
Are we emotional guy, Daniel?
Oh, I'm emotional. Like I'll cry at loads of things.
I'm going to add A Star Is Born into the mix. That makes me cry.
I think for me, it's like I can't remember the films, but I think the last time I got asked, I said to you, it's just like I don't start like crying like loads and loads and loads. It's more like I'll get a wee tear in my eye quite often, but I can't remember any films that do that. But it's either ones that, like Daniel said, it's like it's not the ones where something like, say, something really great happens, like romantically or something like that. It's usually like when it's ones that are lonely and you feel sorry for the person and they have like issues. I think that's more the ones that affects me, I would say.
One that we watched one that got to me, which was Short Term 12. That had some hard moments where I was struggling a wee bit, and you just sort of feel it in your throat. I never quite sort of got bubbling and crying, but it definitely was close to that one. Are you emotionless on that? What do you cry at?
I would just think that I don't think I've ever cried watching a film. However, I'd probably say the closest I've ever got to there's like two ends of the scale. So the first one that I can think prominently would be Marley and Me.
Oh yeah.
And then on the other scale, it was more tears of joy and raw emotion when Billy the Limpet scores the winning goal in Mean Machine.
Billy the Limpet?
I think you're going to talk about the Fergie documentary. That's what I thought.
I've done that the last time, but no.
I did think you'd said that before, but I couldn't remember.
Fair play. So as much as we are morons and some people think we're complete idiots on social media, we do have a heart though, some of us. Maybe not quite Hunter, and Burnsy's a bit too tough to cry.
Can you say that at all?
I think the last time I seen Burnsy cry, Daniel, was when he'd done a little outfit changes and asked me if it was okay, and I told him it was great. And then I told your cousin Scott that Burnsy just asked me about his outfit. So Burnsy walked into the room, and the first thing your cousin said was, "That t-shirt doesn't go with these shorts, pal."
No, I was crying with an off ice and did shot at 11 o'clock at night. That was a dagger to my heart.
The lack of booze I thought was going to hit you more. Maybe Scott will start listening again now that we've mentioned him. For you, this is for you, Hunter, but we did have a loyal listener, but because we slated Superbad, he boycotted us and stopped listening.
Oh, I remember. I've been listening before until I remember that. He was always asking for us to review it for ages, and then we managed to quash all his hopes and dreams in the space of 1 hour.
Well, if he is listening, you still owe me 233 quid for that coupon, Scott. Okay, well, let's move on to the next movie. Happy Gilmore, an absolute classic. 1996, this movie came out. A rejected hockey player puts his skills to the golf course to save his grandmother's house. It's so funny because you take any Adam Sandler movie at this point and just change the character name. It's the same movie throughout them all. But Burnsy, I believe you had watched this one before.
Yeah, I think this is probably the film that I've watched most in my life because
this is why we needed to do this.
But I've not. When it sounds if like when I've been living here, I've just like turned on Happy Gilmore every night or once a week or once every month or whatever. I hadn't watched it since I was maybe like, I don't know, like a teenager anyway. But I'd watched it.
Picturing Burnsy's comes in for his work, turns his telly on, he gets half hour, 45 minutes of Premier League years, rewatches Liverpool and Istanbul, a quick 20-minute session on Babe Station, and then he puts Happy Gilmore on.
Look, I've got your Netflix login now, so I've not had to have it on record for the last 4 years. Watching it over and over again. But it's like I had watched it numerous times when I was younger. I think either on video. I don't know if it was video or DVD. It could be a video. That's how long it may have been. And I'd mentioned to Daniel that it was like a two disc one with was it Billy Madison? It's called. If I made that, is that right?
Aye.
Yeah. I hope we get to review that one of the times as well. So, it's like going back to it is the humor. I think because I'd watched it that much, then obviously I really do enjoy it. But the way I was thinking about it is when you'd mentioned, I was going to mention this about Superbad, but if I'd watched Superbad the amount of times I'd watched Happy Gilmore when I was younger, I think I would have similar thoughts on Superbad now as to what I do in Happy Gilmore now. But because it was the first time I watched Superbad, I thought I didn't enjoy it. I thought this is just so.
Yeah.
The jokes are rotten. It's like aimed at such. They're just like so corny and stuff like that. Whereas watching this, is a lot of it is going. Is to me, it's like, hitting the same age of people a lot of the time. I thought Shooter McGavin was class in it. Is that like when I'm watching it now, I find it funny with the obviously the things he's been getting to do and become this sort of villain in the film, and Happy Gilmore's like main rival. And when I was younger though, as I remember watching it and did hate him on the screen, like he's not somebody you do hate obviously at this age, where I can still watch films and think somebody's an arsehole or whatever because of the character and the way they've written it. I like, it's obviously the storyline's obviously ridiculous that a hockey player can just pick up a golf club and just rattle the ball 400 yards. Like, imagine like if that's never going to happen. But it's obviously not. It's a film that's obviously meant to be ridiculous, over the top, and stuff like that. When you mentioned as well, Kyle, about the length of the last film, which I didn't even spot, as I got to the end of this and I realised it was only an hour and a half, and it just completely flew in. I thought there was to me there was as much in this as there was in Ford v Ferrari, because obviously it touches on the relationship he has with his grandma, but doesn't go too in depth, and also his relationship with Chubbs. And there was like some really quite good scenes, I thought, with the Bob Backer fight, and then how he's obviously got a big temper, they kind of keep controlling it, and obviously they're sort of building that throughout the film, etc. But it's more sort of goofy, I would say, whereas although I do like it, it's not, and it's probably one of my favourite films, it's not on top tier level compared to other films that we have watched. That maybe I don't, like, I enjoy roughly the same, but you can see how it's class from start to finish, whereas this is more one that's probably done for more sort of cheap laughs and etc. So that's sort of the way I think about it. It's good, but I think it's one of those that at this stage I would never go back and watch again as well, because I've obviously watched that many times, and when a scene comes up I can pretty much remember what they're going to say. That's how it just came to my mind just now, is like when he's in the bar and he's talking, Sapigan was talking to Shooter McGavin, and have some kind of like, he starts rhyming stuff back to him about eating shit or going by the hay and stuff like that. Like I can remember that scene before even it happened. So it's getting to the stage where it's like, there's literally no point in me watching this film again because I've watched that much.
big fan of Adam Sandler back in the early 90s, well, the mid 90s. I was just looking there to see what like the range of movies that Sandler done at that point, because it's like an actual era comedy, especially for our age group, because he did Billy Madison in '95, then Happy Gilmore the year after. 2 years after that was The Wedding Singer and The Waterboy, and then you've got right after that you've got Big Daddy and Little Nicky, all within a 4 or 5 year period of them. But they're all much of a muchness when it comes to the types of movies that they are. But they're, I suppose you know exactly what you're getting. You know that you're getting cheap, silly laughs. You could probably point them off exactly what types of laughs are going to be before they go in. But actually, I quite enjoy the cast in this. It's good to see Big Jaws for James Bond movies in there. He's a scary looking guy. And Carol Weathers in it, I think, is class. That's it's all in the hips. It's something that just people say. Like, they just say that and you can't get away from it.
Yeah, I mean, Carol Weathers, that's who does it for me. That's what I remember most about this movie. He's like the ultimate star of this film for me. The idea initially of like a one-handed golf teacher whose hand got bitten off by a crocodile, as funny as it is, but he just plays it perfectly. Like, it's all in the hips and like all the stuff. I just think he's comedy gold every time he's on screen. But I'll pass it back to you.
Yeah. So when I was looking at Carol Weathers earlier, I just like jumped to his IMDb page up, and it says known for, and this is the order that he's known for: Predator, then Happy Gilmore, then Rocky.
Nah. He's Apollo Creed first and then the rest.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, no, you can't hate this movie, right? Especially us now. If we're watching it for the first time, you could maybe be a bit more like, it's a bit cheesy and a bit shit, and the jokes are a bit obvious. But it does touch on that nostalgia quite a lot. And we get a lot of comments and a lot of people asking us questions about how we vote things and how we rate things. And it's all, like, we want to do it more about the experience, because this movie's not Parasite. Do you know what I mean? It's not a absolute masterpiece, but it will score a lot higher than a lot of movies that we do have on our list because we enjoyed it. And ultimately, that's it. Hunter, what's your thoughts?
Kind of similar. I mean, as you said, it is just like a big slice of nostalgia pie. I mean, you go back, I mean, you're not barely laughing maybe as you were when we were watching this when we're sort of early teens back, when not long after it was released, kind of all those sort of Adam Sandler Ranger films that came out in that short space of time. It's the same character, just with a different script. And again, that's what the sort of role he sort of had down to a T. But again, there's so many good moments. I just said, Carl Weathers is good. Bumsy said as well, Shooter McGavin as well. Even the fact there's so many things that format and then obviously have then made their way into popular culture, like the celebration and that. Like, you used to do that on like the Tiger Woods games and the PlayStation that back in the day as well. But there's things that it's because I'm obviously some of the iconic scenes. The fact that you still see, like, there's like the picture Bumsy posted in the chat, like just after this got pictured, and it was like Shooter McGavin and Tiger Woods at the recent tournament. I mean, it still generates. Obviously, there'll be people our age that feel nostalgic towards it, and I've maybe obviously it doesn't age great, but not in a bad sense. Just that we mature, and there's nothing bad against the film. We've just not of a mindset of maybe being able to enjoy it as much as we did when we first watched it. But there will still be maybe a younger generation of people. I mean, it's not one of those films where it's aged badly. Like, it's some of the jokes are like badly dated or outdated or whatever. But you could still get a younger generation of people who could go up and then still enjoy this film as we did first time round when it was out. I mean, it's not going to pull up any punches. It did win an award, ironically, for punches, which I'll touch on in the trivia. But again, it's kind of, as I've said, there's nothing too wrong with it. It's just not, as I said, it's not a great film in the sense, as you've said, it's not going to win any Oscars. It's not going to it's not got a great soundtrack. It's not as well produced, but it's still a good film within its own rights.
Yeah, it just chops back into that childhood for us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Sean follows very, very similar thoughts to us, although he does call the movie Billy Gilmore. I think Sean might have already been on these handled cups of his beer when he was typing these reviews. Like, we'll give his spelling and his grammar a little check later. But he says, probably my favourite Sandler comedy edited film. An easy watch, albeit quite similar to the other comedies of his. Same kind of characters and same actors in each one. For what it is, though, it's absolutely fine. A stupid, goofy comedy that gives a few laughs, even if we've seen it 100 times. Daniel?
I feel like we've got a couple of movies where we both kind of, I'm not saying both, but say all five of us kind of agree on how we feel about it. You made a good point, Kyle. See the 5 movies you mentioned, like that is like a time period. It feels like a time period in my life, like around those films. For me, they get slightly better as they go. So like Billy Madison to Happy Gilmore to The Waterboy to The Wedding Singer to Big Daddy. I think that goes in order of getting better for my taste. Even Little Nicky I like. I'm a big Little Nicky fan. A lot of folk don't like one.
I was sorry to interrupt you there. I was just going to say, what's the saying in Little Nicky? Is it like, you can do it?
So that's also in The Waterboy, and that's also in that ends up being in like loads of Adam Sandler movies. But yeah, you can do it, bite his fucking head off. But that started off in The Waterboy, the you can do it thing. Right. Then they carried it on into Little Nicky, and that's a good point you've made, though, Kyle, right? Because that sort of emphasises what I'm thinking here, right? These almost merge into one big thing. It's like the Sandler verse, and like there's jokes that link between the movies, even though they're not sequels or like linked in any way. They're directly different films. But he plays a slightly below average intelligence, or maybe slightly sort of more below average intelligence, depending on the movie. But he always plays a thick guy with some sort of mental issue that happens, the way anger issues as well, and he happens to like get involved in some sort of slapstick stuff. But it does what it says in the tin. It's fine. It's a slapstick comedy movie. I'm not going to complain about it having slapstick comedy in it. I quite like it. It's good. I just think I'm going to probably score this based on where I would put it versus the other Adam Sandler movies at the time. But I did enjoy it. It's great. Like you guys said, you can remember every scene almost. And I found myself sort of raising a little smile rather than laughing at any points, purely because I've seen it so many times. And I'm sort of smiling in anticipation before it happens, rather than reacting to the comedy like you should. The one bit I'd actually forgot it happened, and it did make me laugh, was when they're taking all the stuff out of his granny's house, and this is when he first hits a golf ball. And the first time he smashes the window, and then the second time there's the guy comes out, and then the third time he hits the woman in the head. Like, see stuff like that just happens in threes. Comedy in threes is key, and it just does it for me, that type of thing. Because you know it's just going to get slightly worse and worse every time, and it doesn't make it any less funny. The other bits I particularly liked, well, the bit that I laughed at more because I forgot how stupid it was, is like, so Stuart, when it's going to the last day of the big tournament, Stuart McGavin phones somebody and says, like, you need to get down here, and like he's got a plan, like he's going to kill him or something like that, right? And the guy just drives down the middle of the golf course in a Volkswagen Beetle and hits him and then dies, like crashes and dies. And it was so funny. Like, how's that the elaborate plan? Like, he's went all the way to like call somebody and like it's good to go. You need to make sure this happens. Just drive in the middle of the golf course in a fucking Volkswagen Beetle. Mad. I was just laughing at how absurd it all is. That somebody sat in a writing room. TV people have written that down. Oh, and somebody's went, what if he just drives in a Volkswagen Beetle? Done. That'll go in. But it's good. It's one of those culture movies, like Kyle mentioned. It's all on the hips. You hear it often. It gets mentioned, but up in pop culture. You still see people now trying to do the Happy Gilmore golf swing, and that's been nearly 30 years. So. What can slag him, but Adam Sandler has made himself a part of popular culture. So fair play to him.
Just when you said about the lines as well, it's like my favourite's like when he's I can't remember how far into the film it is, but he's like, he hits this putt and it just stays right over the hole. And he's like, why don't you go home? That's your home ball. And I think he like then chucks his club or something, or he does this a few times. He chucks his club and the caddy just has to like catch it if in here, just like wee scenes like that. Because I'm quite into golf as well. I quite enjoyed the golf stuff as well, even though obviously some of that stuff was ridiculous as well. He's like in a bunker, he's absolutely nailing this ball, like full swing and everything, and he's only about 20 yards for the pin. It lands right beside it.
What I was going to say, like, see, like, for example, back this obviously 30 years ago, driving the ball 400 yards, that was obviously like never heard of. There's folk do it like on the regular now, the PGA Tour. It's not even that shocking a thing anymore. And then also what I found as well was I don't know if these were 4-day tournaments or they were just like 1 day. It's like the owners or the creators of Live Golf have essentially just watched this film and went, right boys, let's start a fucking golf tour.
It's been long enough.
I know.
They just need to now move on to the 800-yard drives. Fuck knows, like,
Right.
he's going to have fucking Popeye spinached up arms that are going to get him to go there. Daniel, just to jump back to your Adam Sandler verse that you were talking about, I had a little Google there to see what kind of things pop up. So it says here that there's the Rob Snyder You Can Do It. There is the dishevelled caddy from Happy Gilmore also is in Jack and Jill. And Chubbs. So Carl Weathers makes a cameo in Heaven of Little Nicky.
Yeah, he's in heaven, and he does. So they go to heaven, and he's doing the whole "it's all in the hips" thing in Heaven and Little Nicky. Which you watch Little Nicky, it's the best of all of these.
It's what I think I remember most is Little Nicky. That maybe Billy Madison. I enjoyed day two. Cool guys. I think it's on time for some trivia from our good friend Scott.
Yes, so here we go in this well-researched and planned out trivia. So, as you're talking about, the film was rewritten by Judd Apatow, which went uncredited.
Oh.
Interesting.
Yes. So, during the mini golf scene, Adam Sandler provided the voice of the laughing clown. Bob Barker wasn't sure if he wanted to be in the movie. When he learned that he was going to win the fight with Adam Sandler, he accepted the role. And a little sub bit of trivia to that is I read that Bob Barker, actually trained in martial arts training under Chuck Norris and Chuck Norris's brother.
Wow.
Fucking Chuck Norris. We could go through some Chuck Norris facts.
So Kevin Costner was also offered the role of Shooter McGavin but declined. However, he did play a golf pro in the film Tin Cup, which was a former childhood favourite of mine as well.
Daniel would have loved it if Kevin Costner was in.
And the bit that I touched on earlier, so it was the film which was the very first winner of the MTV Movie Award for Best Fight.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I had to look back hunting at those awards, and the funny bit I saw was how Adam Sandler got nominated for Worst Actor for two sites as well for this movie.
I think it's well known now that Adam Sandler gets nominated for the worst every year. Every single movie that comes out is dominated by, so what's it called, the Raspberry Awards or whatever. The opposite of the Oscars. And every year the Adam Sandler films just dominate it. But stop taking it so seriously. Like, it's not meant to be good. He's not trying to make a fucking Oscar. Well, he is now. He's trying to get an Oscar now, and everyone's taking him seriously. So fair play to him.
That was right, Daniel, about the Golden Raspberry. The other one that I saw, it's called the Stinkers Bad Movie Awards. That was the other one. He was. I just thought the name was quite funny.
Fair play.
I was going to say, I think his movie Jack and Jill holds the record for the most Golden Raspberry Awards. Like, I think it's officially the worst film ever in terms of like awards. And it is bad. It's very fucking bad. It's awful.
I don't think it'd be on your list anyway.
Can't wait till I get to pick movies next. I know what I'm selecting.
Just go on the Raspberries nominees list and
we should add that to the wheel, guys. Worst movies, Raspberries.
That's a good shout, Kyle. Let's add that on the wheel.
Can we get one more vote for that, guys, to make it unanimous?
Oscars v Razzies is on for me.
Oscars.
Much better.
Much better. Well, I was just going to say that if you haven't watched any recent stuff, we obviously done Uncut Gems not too long ago. That was absolute cracker. And then his basketball one, Hustle. It's a very, very good movie if you haven't already seen it. Let's get scoring on this though. Sean has given his score, which would be a 3 out of 5. Fonzie?
3.75.
3.75. It's going to get a 3.5 from me. Hunter?
3.25.
3.25. And Daniel?
I feel like a bit of a dick, but a 2.75, the same as Le Mans for me.
Oh, you are being a bit of a dick, aren't you? 2.75 from Daniel. Bonzi, has that bought you enough time to do the maths?
Yep. That's a 3.25.
3.25. Same question goes again, guys. Let's have a guess at what that comes alongside on our leaderboard. You've got a 3-movie swing here. 3 movies have got a 3.25.
Oh, 3.25. I'm going to go with
What's it called?
Con Air.
I'm going to go Face Off because I was going to go Con Air, but Daniel beat me to it.
There's one that's called this something. It's some kind of horror film, but I can't remember what it's called now. I can't just to help.
What's it called? What's the clue you got?
A horror film. It's not the one where like they have the woman and the guy after the wedding. The Strangers. That's it.
Oh, you were wrong. So the 3 movies involved were School of Rock, Pan's Labyrinth, and Logan.
Oh, Logan was mentioned twice tonight. That's funny. I think that's very, very good because, sorry, you just said one there that I thought it should be exactly where it should be. Say those again.
Logan, Pan's Labyrinth, School of Rock.
School of Rock, yeah. This is the same sort of level as School of Rock for me. I'm quite glad that they've fallen in side by side because I'd say they're very standard, same standard of movie.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, guys, we are finished for the 2 movies for tonight, but let's get spinning the wheel for the next category. Our next movies that we've got coming up are our fantasy movies that we'll be watching in the upcoming week for next recording. Who can remember what the 2 fantasy movies are?
I think it's etched in our brains. It's Fantasia and Life of Pi.
I mean, I am now saddened that these are the only fantasy I will be involved with, and there'll be no fantasy FPL over the next 2 weeks. So
I'm really looking forward to reviewing them next week.
Well, guys, we've got an absolute classic 1940 movie that will be well reviewed by us, is what I'm definitely sure of. But let's spin the wheel so we can get the category coming for the next time. On top of that, we will have action movies coming after our fantasy week, so they will be hitting the Instagram in the very near future. So just keep your eyes out for the action movies on there. And then I believe comedy might be coming after that.
Yes, so we can maybe get more of the Sandler verse in there.
Guys, we're well ahead of the game with the organisation here. We're actually turning into a decent wee outfit.
Oh, keep going. Oh, no. Fuck off.
Bonzi, can you explain to the listeners what you can see right now?
No.
Just
we should be allowed that once. We should be allowed once every month or something, or once every 2 months. We can have a respin.
I would absolutely agree with that, but we did get a respin last week.
I didn't choose it last week though. You get one chance each.
Nah. Disagree. I think if we all vote and agree to change, then fine. But I'm happy with Westerns. I saw it a bit different.
John's just messaged me saying he wants to change, so I need one more person.
Well, I'm happy with Westerns. Hunter?
Aye, fuck it, why no?
Yeah. That's fun, dude.
So, guys, Western movies will be added onto our upcoming movie selections. If you do have any that you can't think of that you would recommend to us to watch out, we have added Sky movies to our list of streaming services that we use. So you may find some good ones on there, albeit a little bit controversial sometimes, the genres on Sky movies. But we'll talk about that at a later time. But guys, thank you very much for tonight. Thank you very much for listening. If you have listened, please drop us a follow on our social medias. Pop onto our Instagram. That's Morons Review Movies. Let us know that you've listened. To send us a screenshot, tag us in it. We'd love to hear from you. But that is it for tonight. I bid you morons farewell.
See you soon.
You beat you to it this week, Hunter. I don't know if waving to the podcast is really going to help people know that you're saying goodbye.
I was going to go catchy Versace, but I did feel a bit Council Estate coming out with that. So.
You'll have to get that in the bank for another time.
Sorry I don't speak moron as well as you, but let me try.
What the hell is supposed to do, you moron?
It's a moron. That's not against the law.
Gun, you fucking moron.
Dressed up like Batman.
Because he is Batman, you moron.
What are you, a fucking moron?
You moron. Drop dead. Moron.
Whoa!
Up here, you morons.
Stepping morons like yourself.
Me down, you moron! Hey, moron!
Bid you farewell and good luck, morons. Bye.